Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So, I'm heading off to work in a few, but I wanted to do the first video. So, we had the intro yesterday. So, for today's video, I wanted to talk about why you don't need to have someone in order to make you feel loved. And what I really want to start off with about that is the fact that I think from the moment we're born, we we need our parents, our caretakers, or whoever to provide for us for our survival, literally. But oftentimes that gets automatically lumped in with, conditional love, because they're doing this because you love you. It's just something you're supposed to assume or accept, even if they're not expressing in affectionate ways. And it makes you feel like, okay, well, people who love you are supposed to do things for you. People who love you can get upset with you and then still say, I'm doing this because I love you. So then you start to see a form of distorted love, because then psychologically you're not even out outright saying, okay, love means you can get treated badly sometimes and still accept it, or still be loved, or you could feel very bad and still be loved. Or honestly, you would assume that you're not being loved, or you're not lovable, because you might get punished, or you might get yelled at, you might get in trouble. All these different experiences that people might assign meanings to without realizing that that's what they're doing. These assumptions that can get created without the actual awareness that you have that within you, within your nervous system, within your mindset, or whatever. But I just wanted to start off that way because that was my experience. I know it's not everybody, because you could have people in the worst environments. They grow up, they get out of it, and it doesn't affect their type of relationships that they have. It doesn't affect the type of person they see themselves as. So they still end up, breaking whatever family curse and having a good relationship. So it's not everybody, but I'm just speaking for the people who do think that's the case, because if you're someone like me who hasn't had that relationship where you fell in love, or hasn't had even genuine connections with people to where you could say I love you and actually mean it and actually feel it and actually feel worthy, then if your definition of being loved comes from other people and you never have that experience, and maybe you don't know how, then you'll get caught in that loop where, okay, well, I can never be loved because I don't have this, because my life and my relationships, my social life doesn't look the way that other people who seem to be in love or say they're in love or are in relationships. And I think the biggest issue with that is just the whole comparison thing, because there could be people in marriages and relationships who don't feel loved. So you can't really use that as a excuse or a determinant factor for what that looks like. There are people who cheat, there are people who do all these things and say that they love their partner, but for someone else, they are the way they show love for their partner is through being fully committed, genuinely loving them, having the intimacy, having everything else, never feel the desire to cheat, and it's secure, it's trusting, it's wholesome, and it's that healthy love versus the toxic stuff, or versus the people who are hurtful, whether that be abusive mentally, emotionally, physically. And there's so many different distorted definitions of love and experiences out there that people get confused and don't even know what they're looking for, because a lot of people will say, I don't do relationships. There's a lot more situationships out there, because they thought they had love with someone and it resulted in heartbreak or whatever negative things, and it just completely blew up and they got hurt, and they associate love with pain. So for obviously people will want love, but if that's what love is based on their one or two experiences, they don't really want that. Like, it's not that you don't want love, it's just you want to have a clearer definition, a picture of what love is, and then actually be open to receiving it. Because people who have been through hurt and pain, they're literally walking on eggshells and scared. They might not be saying it outright physically, but anytime someone gets affectionate, or if you want to open up to your partner and all this other stuff, you still have that fear because, maybe men don't open up, or women don't do this, or the fact that if you opened up to someone and they used it against you, like, that's not what a loving person would do. They should be able to have compassion and put themselves in your shoes to understand where you're coming from, and that just comes from clear communication and genuinely wanting to understand and know a person to make them feel like they could be 100% themselves. But you have to be able to be in that space for yourself first. So those are just a couple examples of things that I've been thinking about, things that I've been watching lately, and just reflecting on how people are still not experiencing the kind of love, that natural, that wholesome, 100% like pure, genuine vibration of love, as opposed to all these distorted experiences that we've been having that actually isn't in the frequency of love. Because you can't be in hurt and pain and fear and anxiety and be in the vibration of love at the same time. Like, if you've ever felt love, genuine love, or even just say I am love and just really focus on love and place your attention and your awareness on it, it wouldn't be, most of us probably haven't experienced it. Most of us haven't been focused in that place long enough to actually feel what pure positive love is. We've had these different experiences that we might have thought love was, or it's possible you could have been in love and it came out of that state, but most of us aren't consistently there, because if we were, we would be compassionate for people, we would be accepting. Love is very inclusive. It's not something that'll push people away or cause harm or anything like that. But depending on the mindset and the state of being that you're in, love won't be able to get through to you in the same way. And I just mean that to say, for someone who's depressed and sad, love is going to kind of feel like, gaining confidence, gaining acceptance, feeling worthy, feeling good enough. Once you kind of embrace that for yourself, like, you come to those realizations that you do feel worthy, you do feel good enough, you don't feel insecure, versus someone who's naturally happy and peaceful and in good spirits. Love will feel more pure, and it'll just be natural. It's not going to be something that feels like you have to hold on to it or you have to chase it. You'll just be like, well, I always, like, it's just a knowing, like, I know I'm loved, I know I'm good, so I don't even have those kind of concerns. Or even if I do, I still give myself the grace to say, well, I know I'm loved, I know I'm worthy, so I could just have a bad day. Like, it's not even going to be a discussion or something that you have to struggle with, or, say, oh, you're not showing me enough love, or I need you to validate me, that kind of thing. So it really depends on where you are on that emotional scale most of the time, that will determine how much love you let yourself experience, how much you let yourself focus in a place of love versus whatever other mindset that you're in most of the time. So what I could say is that sorry, I haven't been looking at the camera. I'm just really trying to make sure I remember everything. But yeah, what I could say is that love, it has nothing to do with other people. It's a byproduct like, relationships with other people is a byproduct of the relationship that you have with yourself. So if you don't know who you are, it's going to be hard to get to know other people. So you really have to come to terms with your own self-image, seeing that you are worthy enough for the kind of treatment that you want, that you're deserving enough, and that it's not other people's jobs to make you feel a certain way. Like, honestly, they can't unless you give them that power. So the same thing with love. People can't really give you love if you're not open to it, because a lot of people will ask for it, but the second they have somebody who's healthy, who's positive, who's treating them good, they automatically have doubts, or you start sabotaging it in some kind of way because deep down you're not even expecting it to work, or you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it's like it's not even the other people are the problem, it's that you have assumptions of them and they can only act within those assumptions. You might not feel like you have the power of persuasion, but you really do. You get to decide what version of that person shows up based on the image you hold of them and the image you hold of yourself. So if you change your own self-image and just know that you are loved and practice that consistently, and give yourself assurance and be nurturing to yourself, show yourself appreciation, that in itself will change how people react or respond to you. Like, it's just something that's going to naturally radiate, and people naturally feel drawn to you, because that is one of the things that makes people attractive. Someone who knows themselves, someone who feels worthy. Because if you're sad and you're distant and not social, nobody's really going to want to come around you. They'll just assume they got a problem, they don't like people. Because I've done that to myself. I felt very anxious when it comes to being social experiences, and the second that I changed it, I seen people treat me kind, and they were normal and cool to be around. So this is really just about showing yourself love. Give yourself the type of love that you're wanting to experience, and let that be something that's natural, and comfort yourself. And I guarantee it'll change how you do relationships altogether. But I have to go because I got to go to work. But I'll see you guys.